Hello everyone, last name Doughboy, first name Davey, back here with another video on SD Gundam Battle Alliance. And there was a big ass fucking truck making a lot of noise, and I went on a whole rant about that, and none of it recorded. So I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but to summarize what I was talking about, why do you need a giant truck? We get it, you have a small wiener, alright? You don't need a giant truck. And another thing I was mentioning was, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how many of y'all are football fans here. I'm a huge football fan. Go Bills. They had a great win over the Rams a few days ago. And my God, why are New York Giants fans the worst fans in the league when it comes to driving? They are horrible drivers. Whenever I'm driving anywhere and I get cut off by a giant lifted truck that the owner's daddy probably bought them, they've always got a big ass fucking NY sticker slapped on the back of it. It's really annoying and it happens every time, all right? So if you're a Giants fan, drive better, okay? Anyway, moving on. Anyway, I'm back here with another SD Gundam Battle Alliance video. I've really enjoyed playing this game. I don't know if you guys are the same, where you go through a period of time where you're just fucking bored with every game, and it really sucks because it really saps the life out of you. You're just bored playing everything. And this game has really kind of revitalized a little bit of my gaming excitement, because I've really been enjoying playing this game. And not even just playing the game, but getting into the statistics, maximizing my Gundam. There's not a whole lot of meta in this game, but collecting all the blueprints, and when I find a Gundam I like, equipping the right parts, saying, okay, how can I maximize this Gundam's efficiency, things like that, and it's been a lot of fun. And I appreciate you guys coming along for the ride, because these SD Gundam videos, at the very least, the first one that I recorded, as of time of recording, it's only almost at 200 views, which is pretty damn good for me. So I appreciate you guys coming along this ride for me, and taking a chance and checking out some of the content. It really means a lot to me. So anyway, long-winded intro aside and slight rant about, trucks aside, today I wanted to talk about my personal 5 favorite Gundam that I've been using in SD Gundam Battle Alliance. I don't even know how long I'm into this game. I guess for context, I would go by the amount of hours, but it says that I'm at 159 hours, which is not accurate. I think because I leave the Switch on sleep mode, I don't know if that counts for playtime, but I have not played this game for 159 hours yet. I can definitely see myself getting there, but I guess just for context, I'm on Directory, I got to Directory 4, but they did that mission where you go back to Directory 3 to do the Iron-Blooded Orphans mission. This mission is kind of difficult. I haven't been able to beat it yet, but with the update, they gave you a bunch of extra credits, so I recently upgraded my Gundam to do it. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. But I was just using that as a little bit of a knowledge of, I haven't collected every Gundam yet, so this list could definitely change. But I'm a decent enough way in where I think I have 5 Gundam that I really enjoy playing as, and I think have a lot going for them. And I think, any new player could definitely have a lot of fun playing these 5 Gundam. So number 5, we have the Gun Cannon from the original Mobile Suit Gundam. This was the one that I was using primarily in the beginning. I know it starts you out with the G something or whatever, and a few other Gundam, but this was the one that I personally found myself using a lot. I love getting up close and personal. I love the all-rounders because they have a decent amount of health packs and everything, and they're not very slow. Like some of the in-fighters can be a little slow, so even though I like fighting like an in-fighter, I do like the balance that an all-rounder brings, and I feel like the Gun Cannon brings a lot of decent balance. It has a decent 3-hit combo, very chunky punches. It's got a 6-shot blaster, which doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but again, the beauty of this game is you can spec a lot of Gundams to be kind of how you want them to be. So you can always upgrade that 6-shot blaster. I love its heavy hit combo where it does a drop kick. That is just so funny to see a giant robot just straight up drop kick somebody. It has a decent launch when you hold down your heavy hit button. Let me get into some of the sub weapons too. We got a decent jump, pretty decent boost and dash. You know, it's number 5 for a reason. They're definitely much better Gundam, and you know, it is a starting Gundam, so it's obviously not going to be the best. But I feel like it, no pun intended, is a decent all-rounder for starting out. Your sub one is about 2 grenade throws, which is nice for knocking down an opponent and being able to follow it up with a different attack. So. Oh, I was going to set up on that guy, but he got dead. So let me collect over here. A tip about this game is search all the maps. You know, there's not a whole lot of fun secrets to find, but you can always find some cool stuff. So the grenade does well against, you know, groups of enemies. Like if you saw there, I knocked down, I think, 2 or 3 of them. And then I followed it up with the sub 2, which is rocket, you know, using the cannons to finish them off and pepper them off there. So that's very cool. I like that a lot. I feel like it's just a very solid initial Gundam. You get some good hits in. You're able to, you know, use your weaponry pretty effectively against either single combat or if you have like multiple people. You know, there's a lot that you can do with the gun cannon. It's a great all-rounder. Again, no pun intended. You know, there's a lot that you can do with it, and it can serve you well, especially in the first few missions here. So the special is just a pretty decent cannon followed up by throwing a giant boulder. You know, this can be used to really just get in some good damage. Like as you can see at the start of the battle, we're already, you know, he's already down a good, probably about a quarter of health just from that attack. And so at number 4 for my 4th favorite Gundam to use in SD Gundam is the Freedom Gundam from Gundam Seed. I really like this Gundam just because, I mean, one, it just looks, as I'm getting my ass kicked, it just looks like very angelic with its wings and everything. I know looks don't have everything to do with it, but if you know, have a Gundam that looks ugly, you're probably not going to want to use it as much as Gundams that look cool. But anyway, it's got a pretty decent, you know, blaster. It's another all-rounder Gundam, so it can do a lot pretty decently. Its light attacks are very flashy and cool with its kind of zippy kind of sword moves, and the fact that it looks like almost a circle or a ring around it when you're fighting is very cool. Like the pink, you know, slashing around there is very nice. Its sub 1 is a pretty decent kind of little, almost, I can equate it to just like a buckshot, just shotgun blast. It's a really nice like little chink or chunk of damage, nothing crazy. Its sub 2 is a decent beam, which you know, can be used to clear out groups of enemies. I know, you know, we're fighting Hermes right here, which is a 1-on-3 fight, but so there's not really, you know, can't really show how it works against multiple enemies, but it's a good knockdown attack, which you can then follow it up with some blasts and everything. I want to show you guys the special, but I feel like we might wind up killing this guy before I get to it. It's kind of like full-on beam thing, which if you hit can be very devastating. Now, granted, this quest was a little under-leveled for us. I think my Freedom Gundam is at 7, and this quest was level 5. And then also I'm using partners that are pretty highly leveled compared to the quest. But the follow-up on that beam is really cool, and it's, you know, just cool to see all the parts come together and just create this very long, just like Death Star looking beam. But yeah, it's a very decent all-rounder. I didn't get a chance to show the dash at all. Very good boost, you know, it can get some height. You know, pretty mobile, no pun intended, mobile suit. It's a pretty mobile suit. But yeah, that's the fourth favorite, the Freedom Gundam. So my current third favorite Gundam to use is the Gundam Ground Type from Mobile Suit Gundam 8th Team. 8th Team is my favorite Gundam series as of right now, so when I saw that I would be able to use the 8th Team Gundams, I was immediately attracted to the idea of using them. I love the look of the 8th Team Gundam, the Ground Type. It's very just like simplistic in a way. There's no like flashy wings. There's no like crazy stuff going on. It's just a very clean looking Gundam. It's a sharpshooter, so it's got essentially a machine gun, which you can just use to easily pepper enemies. It's got the bullets kind of home a little bit, which is cool. It's got a really good cannon move, which I just completely messed up there, but trust me, the cannon is pretty decent. You're able to follow it up with some, admittedly a little too slow for my liking, melee moves, but it is a sharpshooter, so it's not necessarily supposed to do melee. But again, you're able to, have some very decent range, just completely just pepper enemies. Let me try to use the sub again and not mess it up. The sub 2, which I messed up again, but you can you can see how it would be pretty decent to use. Let me follow it up with some sub 1, which is just a straight up bazooka attack. But the cool thing about it is, if I'm able to get some multiple enemies in frame, so you're able to track multiple enemies with this attack, which can be very useful when you're fighting multiple guys, especially in a small corridor. You're able to just like hit multiple people at the same time, which is really useful. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Special, I admittedly, if I can talk, don't really like that much because it drops right in front of you. It feels like something that, especially coming from a sharpshooter, should have more range to it, and that's the biggest downside to the ground type suit, is the special is not really consistent. When you're able to hit, it does do a fair... Oh, we left this guy over here. Nobody left alive, no witnesses. When it does hit, I feel like you're able to do a decent amount of damage, but that's kind of the problem, is it doesn't always hit. It can be very... no pun intended, hit or miss, and when it misses, it's just a complete waste. The special again, see if I can... It's a good, I will say it's a good clear effect. Like, I was able to, I was getting knocked around a little bit, I was able to clear the way with the special. So, normally I like to save my specials for tougher enemies or for the bosses, but I guess this special is maybe a little more tailored to taking out, a mob of lesser enemies. But yeah, the ground type's good. Decent jump, decent dash. It's a solid middle-of-the-road Gundam, and that's why it's number 3. Second favorite Gundam is also from 8th Team, surprise, surprise, and that is the Gundam Easy 8. Pretty much this is what I wanted out of the ground suit Gundam. It's got, it's an all-rounder, so it doesn't have as many bullets as the ground suit Gundam has in its weapon, in its ranged weapon, but it's still got a nice rapid-fire machine gun that you can use to easily pepper enemies. It's got a lot better follow-up melee attacks. Its strong attack looks like it almost just takes a crowbar out of nowhere, which obviously isn't a crowbar. It like flips its gun around and uses the back handle of it, or the butt of the gun rather, which is very cool. And its kind of lightsabery attacks are a lot more flashy and fun. It doesn't have the best combo, like it kind of stops after 3 hits and has a quick pause, which definitely isn't annoying, but it definitely isn't quite what I'm looking for something that can chain combos a little bit better, but it's not that big of a deal at all. Its subs are a fucking bazooka, which makes sense because it's 8th Team, and 8th Team is a lot less melee heavy than other Gundams. It's very much more methodical jungle combat. Its sub 2 is a much bigger bazooka, which can be used as a good knockdown and a good kind of AoE attack on, you know, multiple enemies. I love fighting in the cities. They like crumble and stuff around you. That, like I mentioned in a previous video, the camera can be a bit of a, you know, deterrent when it comes to these city combat ones. But there's just something so satisfying about, you know, the buildings falling around you, and the fact that, you know, it's all the SD Gundam, which is kind of a little more chibi looking. It feels like you're just like playing in a toy box. Like, it feels like you pan out and it's just like, you know, you're a kid and you and your homie just playing with your Gundams, but like this is what you're imagining happens, and it's almost like like this is literally your imagination, and then but in reality it's just like you and your homie just slamming Gundams against each other. But in your mind it's all this global conflict and war and everything, and that's very fun. And I like that a lot. But yeah, I mean, the Easy 8 I like more than the ground suit, like I mentioned, because it's literally just the ground suit, but fit more to my personal play style. So, and also it's 8th Team, which, like I said, is my favorite Gundam series. So, you know, I had to give the nod to 2 Gundam. So, here we go with the Special, which is really cool. You just, I probably didn't use it in the best instance there, because that guy was almost dead. But you zoom up, you hit him, and then you lock him in for a volley of bullets in ranged attack, which is really neat, and also can do a good chunk of damage. The Easy 8 is a lot more mobile than the ground suit. You know, you're able to follow up your attacks really nice with some good bazooka attacks. You're able to follow them up, you know, by peppering a little bit. It's got a little bit of everything. Like I said, it is a, no pun intended, a very much all-rounder Gundam, because you're able to do some very decent melee damage, but you've also got a very reliable arsenal of ranged attacks as well, that you're able to, you know, continue to stack up damage, continue to pepper guys from afar, and it just works really well. I think it's definitely my second favorite Gundam, and so far my favorite 8th Team Gundam. But I do have one Gundam that just is my personal favorite to play as, and we'll get into that at number 1. Okay, and here we are at number 1. My personal favorite Gundam to play as of right now in SD Gundam Battle Alliance, is the Aerios Gundam from, whoops, that was anticlimactic because I messed up there, but we're gonna roll with it. From the Aerios Gundam from Gundam 000, however you want to pronounce it, 00. It's just a lot of fun to play as. First of all, I was immediately attracted to just how freaking sexy this Gundam looks. Look at its, you know, the armor, the everything, the cool wings on it. I of course brought the other, you know, Aerios Gundam as my partner, because like, just look how cool that is. But it's got a really decent jump, a lot of boost. Now, I have definitely buffed this one out a good deal. So it doesn't, you know, admittedly its ranged offerings are not as good as like the Gundam Easy 8, or definitely not as good as the ground type. But it's melee, and that's, you know, personally what I like to do. I like to get up close and personal. It's quick, it's zippy, it's, you know, it has a great deal of combos. You can keep chaining combos together. You know, its range is not as good, but it's still not bad either. You can still use it pretty viably. I think I may have spoiled this in a previous video where I mentioned the Aerios Gundam is my favorite, but let's not worry about that. But you can still pepper guys as you get a little closer. You have your sub 1, which is kind of a, you know, you can pepper some guys. It's not the strongest in the world, but it can be used similar to how the ground type has a ranged attack that can hit multiple enemies. You can kind of use it as kind of a fan of bullets to pepper a little bit of damage to multiple enemies, where your partners, you know, help out your partners a little bit. They can kind of continue to take some guys out in that regard. Your sub 2 is kind of a charge, which, like you saw there, I completely missed. It's not the most accurate in the world. Honestly, the Easy 8 is probably the best, or at least my favorite, when it comes to its overall all-around abilities. Like, it is probably the best Gundam, at least in my opinion right now, when it comes to just straight being able to kind of do everything on the battlefield. But the Ares Gundam, and you'll see right here, has just a great, super powerful move, which, again, like I said, is, you know, like I said earlier in I think in a previous video, it can be very hit or miss. You know, as you saw, I just completely missed everything there. But afterwards, you get a bonus on your ranged attack. So even if the attack itself doesn't hit, you'll still come away with a good bonus and a buff for all of your ranged. And I believe you may move a little bit faster to consume maybe a little bit less boost. I'm not totally sure of the extent of what the buff can do after you use your super, but it's really nice that the super isn't just a one and done thing. You use it, but then you still have a decent ranged buff along with possibly some other buffs to continue to round out a little bit. But it's very zippy, it's very all over the place, high flying, which is just, you know, what I love to play as, and just what I love to see. Just a very, you know, very quick, rapid, just fun, in-your-face combat, and the Ares Gundam, in my opinion, brings that in spades. The downside is when your buff does run out, all your weapons immediately have to reload, which can kind of be a bit of a bummer in a pinch, like if you automatically just have to reload all of your weapons. But it's really not that big of a deal, and you know, it's very, like I said, very quick. Yeah, I don't know, there's not much more to say specifically about it. I just really like playing as the Ares Gundam. I think, again, mainly it's a great, I feel like the Ares Gundam is a great all-rounder for people who want to play in-fighter, if that makes any sense. Like, in-fighters are great, don't get me wrong, but there's a reason that they're not on the list as of right now. I mean, there are a couple great in-fighters that I have enjoyed playing as, but all of the other Gundam on this list have either been all-rounders or sharpshooters. And that's because, like, you can buff your melee, but you can't, like, you can buff your range for sure, but you can't obviously change your weapons. So the all-rounders, and especially the sharpshooters, have great ranged, and then you can buff the melee to compensate for that. Obviously, the overall melee and overall health output isn't going to be as good as an in-fighter, but you can definitely buff your all-rounders and buff your sharpshooters to kind of you know, get a little bit up to that level. So as I was saying before, the Ares Gundam, I feel, is a good all-rounder for people who want to play in-fighter, because there's a lot of melee output here, and what it lacks in health, you can just, you know, buff that up, and you can you know, make that better. I'm going to use my special here, and look, I was able to hit, and it did a pretty decent amount of damage. Honestly, that damage output was pretty low in comparison to what it usually can do. So, you know, and that was a pretty decent, you know, quarter of health already, and that's, in my opinion, low. I've seen it take out half of an opponent's health before, or half of a boss's health before. If you hit it right, and you know, it's very much like the ground suit special, where it's, like I said, hit and miss. It can be very, you know, when you hit, it can take out a lot of damage, but when you miss, you're just zipping around like a moron. But, you know, that's a small price to pay for a pretty good deal of damage output. But yeah, I mean, you know, you got a lot of stuff here. Again, the ranged leaves a little bit to be desired, but with the way that I play, at least, I play, again, very up close and personal. And really, I just rely on the ranged for when my boost runs out. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm not really saying anything while simultaneously saying a bunch of words, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. These were my personal 5 favorite Gundam to play as of right now. With the massive amounts of Gundam in this game, and the different series, and just the other Gundam I've seen, and potentially the DLC Gundam, which I can always do videos on as well. I did a video on the Phoenix Gundam that came out with the most recent update. If you guys are interested in that, I'll have all my SD Gundam videos in a playlist on my channel. And I know that the newest DLC pack, the first DLC pack, came out, I believe, a few days ago. So I would like to check that out at some point soon and potentially make a video on that as well. As you see, like, that special just completely just finished him off. Like, honestly, if your enemy is at a good, maybe good 6th or 8th of health left, like he had a good deal of health left. Like, we still would have been fighting him for a good couple minutes, but you can easily finish that off with an Gundam Special, if you hit it right, obviously. But anyway, yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. More SD Gundam content coming soon. I hope you guys enjoy it again. This is all new to me, you know, doing commentary, doing gaming stuff, but I really like it, and I really am loving this game, so I hope you guys enjoy, and I gotta go edit this so you guys can watch it.